Welcome back to Tucked In Tuesday, your weekly bedtime story. Tonight's story is The Tough Princess by Martin Waddell, illustrated by Patrick Benson. Published by Walker Books. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen who were very unlucky. They crashed their flying carpet and a giant trod on their castle. They ended up living in a caravan parked beside a deep, dark wood. The king is the one with the frying pan. The queen is the one with the hammer, trying to fix the roof. One day, the queen told the king that she was going to have a baby. "Have a boy," commanded the king. "He will grow up to be a hero, marry a princess, and restore all our fortunes." "Good idea," said the queen. But when the baby came, it was a girl. "Never mind," said the king. "She will grow up to be a beautiful princess. I will annoy a bad fairy and get the princess into bother. And then a handsome prince will rescue her, and we'll all go off and live in his castle." "Good thinking," said the queen. "We'll call her Rosamund." "Bah," said Rosamund. The princess grew up and up and up and up, until at last there wasn't room in the caravan to hold her. The king got a tent and pitched it outside. "It's time you married, Rosamund," the king told the princess on her 17th birthday. "Yes, Dad," said the princess. "But I'll go off and arrange it," said the king. The king went off into the deep, dark wood to annoy some bad fairies. The first fairy the king met was no use. She was a good one. She didn't even get angry when the king called her names. The second fairy was bad, but she was only a beginner. She turned the king into a frog for making faces at her cat. But the spell wore off. The third fairy was very bad. "This is her." The king was awfully rude to her. "Aha!" cried the bad fairy. What do you love most in the world?" "My daughter Rosamund," cried the king hopefully. "I will cast a spell on her," crackled the bad fairy, who wasn't very bright, and she darted off to do it. "Goody!" cried the king, because his get the princess a rich prince plan was working. The bad fairy came upon Princess Rosamund picking buttercups in a glade. "Aha!" she cried. "I am the bad fairy, come to cast a spell on you. 7 years you shall lie till the prince comes riding by. Biff! Went Princess Rosamund, and she knocked the bad fairy out, bent her false teeth, and bust up her glasses. "You rotten, ungrateful thing, Rosamund," said the Queen, picking up the bad fairy. "I'll catch my prince my own way," said Princess Rosamund. The next day she borrowed the king's bike and rode off to seek her prince. Rosamund had a lot of adventures. She slew dragons and great worms and black knights. She rescued several princes who were quite rich, but she didn't like them, so she threw them back. She did all the things a heroine ought to do, but she didn't catch her prince. Princess Rosamund grew tired of rescuing princes and killing dragons, and her front wheel got buckled in a fight with a 100-headed thing. In the end, she set off sadly for home, carrying her bicycle. "Hello, Mum. Hello, Dad. Hello, Bad Fairy," said Princess Rosamund when she got home. "Where's your prince, then?" said the King and the Queen and the Bad Fairy, who had moved in by this time. "Haven't got one," said Princess Rosamund. "I'm not going to marry a ninny." "What about us?" cried the King and the Queen and the Bad Fairy. "What are we supposed to live on if you can't come up with a prince?" "That's your problem," said Princess Rosamund. "I'm not going to." And then she saw the sign. "This way to the enchanted prince." "I'm going to do this," said Rosamund firmly, and she set off into the deep, dark wood. "You lot can look after yourselves." She bashed up several goblins and ghouls and the odd fairy, including several good ones by mistake. And finally she won through to the enchanted castle. On a flower-strewn bed in the castle lay a beautiful prince. Rosamund gave him a big, smacky kiss. The beautiful prince opened his eyes and took a look at Princess Rosamund. "Caw, what a liberty!" he cried. And he biffed her one right on her beautiful nose. And Rosamund biffed him right back. It was love at first biff. They biffed happily ever after. The King and the Queen lived happily ever after too. And the Bad Fairy got even worse. The end. Sleep tight and don't let the bedbugs bite.